my name is Felicita Blanco Diaz's sister, and today we're reading Saturnastra Loki. This is chapter 12, part 1. Eventually, Preface saw Loki climbing out of the ground covered in dirt and mud. What in the world happened to you? Asked Preface. Nothing, the tunnel caved in on me. But other than that, everything is fine. I am going to the lake to get cleaned up. Be back soon. Preface watched Loki go, and shaking his head sadly. And with a heavy step, he returned to his tent and he resumed his writing. And normally he would have gone out to hunt for food with Adonis, but he was not feeling particularly hungry. Oh yeah. You can like flip that over there.
I see.
No, not like that. Return it. No.
Oh, I see. Oh, there we go.
Preface was Loki checking in. With a heavy step, he returned to his tent and resumed his writing. And normally he would have gone out to hunt with Adonis, but he was not feeling particularly hungry. As for Loki, he was much disappointed to know the absence of the lake. He said to Disdain, Well, now we know where the water went. Report this to the oculist and see about getting some of this water replaced. All right, see you in a bit. Loki saluted Disdain and then he coughed lightly. He was sniffing the air like the iguana man in a vain attempt to search for large quantity of water to wash off the field. And since he could not find anywhere nearby, he went to Xenia. She always had plenty of water resources to irrigate her flowers. And as he walked back to the camp, Ingrid saw him and grimaced. For the moment, Xenia was entertaining Ingrid with her polite conversation regarding the different types of tourists, and both made them frown when they saw Loki enter. And it was Xenia who asked, What in Artsy's flat world happened to you? I found a tunnel. I went exploring it, and I had the volcano over me, said Loki. You should be more careful jumping into rat holes and mazes, said Ingrid. That is how my late father died. Which father, the human or the Trokin? Asked Ingrid. The latter. He had quite the most anticlimactic death, having the roof fall on him and crushing him like a tiny bug. And that was the first and only time I ever saw my mother express something that resembled a real emotion, said Ingrid. What did she do? Did she cry? Asked Xenia. I don't want to talk about it, said Ingrid, shivering. Then why did you bring up the subject? Asked Xenia. I don't know, gosh, sheesh, said Ingrid. Changing the subject, Loki asked, Can you spare some water? For you, Loki, no, said Xenia, placing before Loki a human-sized water skin. Loki was the sort of fellow to enjoy his bath, but since he was suddenly in a bit of scarcity, he decided to just limit himself to getting clean. Noon came and weathered a terrible storm, and the giants, instead of assembling in their individual tents, they went to Preface's home. He had the largest tent, with all 59 assembled, and it was pretty crowded, and there was just enough room to sit on the floor with shoulders outstretched. And Alida, who was just returning from the forest, went to look for her sister and was disappointed to find Xenia's tent empty. And getting a bit paranoid about it after examining the other empty tent, she eventually found everyone gathered with Preface. And Alida asked, Why is everyone here? Time, bro?
20 minutes.
Oh yeah, just that I experimented with the camera a bit to see if I could make it run a little longer.
Alright, but yeah, you still got 20 minutes.
Why is everyone here? We are waiting for the storm to pass, explained Loki. That still doesn't answer why everyone's cramped in one tent, insisted Alida. You may not know this, but just about every giant has been struck by lightning at least once or twice. And this hasn't happened to Preface as of yet, so my pig thinks that he has some sort of charm or whatever. So to avoid lightning, they sit by him, explained Loki. Then why are they eating? Asked Alida. Because we're hungry, said Locotis bluntly. You are reading too much into this, commented Ingrid. Just find a place and sit down and wait for the storm to pass like the rest of us. Alida silently waited, and from time to time, a strong gust of wind would rock the wooden supports of the tent. And the tent was round with ribbed posts and a crown, and the walls themselves were made of lattice work. And there was but a single giant pole in the center to support the weight of the roof, and the walls and roof were covered in furs and cotton cloths. And the storm continued well into the afternoon, and guessing that it would continue till nightfall, Loki headed out of the tent to fetch the livestock. And he had the animals secured within the empty tents, and back inside the tent, Preface was preparing fermented milk for brunch. And the weather did not allow for outdoor cooking, so the dinner would consist of bread and milk. And Alida asked Preface, Why don't you cook something? Because it's raining, expected Preface. You could just make something indoors, suggested Alida. That would rather be foolish, said Ingrid. With no chimneys and the curtains only partially open, we would die from smoke inhalation. Oh, said Alida, coiling into herself, feeling peevish. and she had no experience with cooked food. And Loki returned in time for dinner to be served, and while the others drank fermented milk, Loki only had the regular time. He had gotten straight from the ghost udder. And silence reigned supreme inside the day, and everyone wore a death mask for reasons Alida could not understand. And the only sound came from Paradise scribbling away in his journal. And the silence was broken by Ingrid asking, "Why do you think there is evil in this world?" To some of the young shrugged their shoulders, while others jumped to illustrate their lack of interest in the topic. Eventually, Paradise looked up and he said, "I think it has something to do with our free will. It is because that we have free will that the gods allow evil to happen in this world. But is it that people are born evil, or there is a nice mixture of the two?" suggested Alida. "I think there are some evil people, but overall, people are nothing until they become something, depending on societal circumstances," said Xenia. No, you are all wrong," said Loki. "There is evil because we have yet to peel off our outer shells." "Oh, so you're suggesting we must kill ourselves to be good," said Alida, narrowing her eyes. "You misunderstand. I am only saying that, well, take this bread for example. The top is hard, and part of it represents evil, while the soft interior represents our good nature. It can only come out once we peel off the exterior, and circumstances outside of ourselves keep us from acting upon our good nature. And whether it is our blood or our position in society, I think that if we really so desire, we can all try to be good because deep down we are all good people," explained Loki. "I'm you, the idealist, but the same rotten to the core would not exist if there were not some very terrible people out there," protested Locotis. "It is all a matter of opinion," said Loki dourly. Locotis frowned and was about to protest, but his grandmother Senior shook her head. And when the silence resumed, once again Loki drew his knees close to his chest, and he rested his head sideways on top of them while crossing his hands beneath his leg. And he gave a deep sigh before closing his eyes, and Anita made a couple of attempts to start conversation with Loki, but he was not at home. His mind was literally elsewhere. The following day, Alida attempted to interrogate all of the giants about Loki's life, and the first person she bothered was Perida, and she asked him while he was querying away, "Does your book have anything on Loki?" "Not yet. It is probably going to be a couple of volumes before I get to him," explained Perida. "Oh, and what are you going to write about him?" asked Alida. "Whatever comes to mind," said Perida flatly. "And what does come to mind?" asked Alida. "Nothing at the moment," said Perida, putting the quill down and turning to glare at Alida. "I can see that you are busy. I will come back later," said Alida departing. "I must make plans to make myself busy before that time arrives," said Perida to himself. The following person Alida pestered was Senior, and the moment Senior saw her, she said, "If this is all about Loki, I will not say anything. If you have a question about him, go out and talk to him directly, silly snake girl." "But he never tells me anything about himself," said Alida. "He's not the sort of fellow to dwell on the past, and whatever you need to know of him is standing before you, and what came before and what comes later is rarely a concern of his," explained Senior. Like Loki's like a carpe diem, living the moment type of person. Sighing, Alida went to see Loki, and he was by the newly formed lake talking with Hears, and their conversation died down the moment Didden said, "Your stalker is coming this way." Loki frowned and said, "What a bother." "Just tell her you're not interested in girls at the moment," said Hears, laughing. "That usually never stops them from persisting," said Loki, biting his lower lip, and by now Alida was near enough to make out what they were saying. "You could say, 'Hey, let's just be friends,'" suggested Hears. "But I would be lying there, wouldn't I?" answered Loki. He doesn't even want her as a friend. Let's just be friends. I don't want her as a friend either. Guessing the nature of the conversation, Alida jumped to the trees and said, Why can't we be friends?" Loki gave a deep, long sigh as he deflated, and his body became skinny and assumed the form of a main yellow anaconda 2 meters in length, and with a lazy zigzag rhythm he slithered away into the forest. Grinning a little, Here said to Alida, with the intention of annoying her, "You know, Loki does consider your sister Ingrid his friend." Before Alida could protest, Here sunk her head beneath the waters, and near a crossroad Loki coiled there and waited. And eventually his sister Kaneda manifested, and she picked up Loki and she placed his snake head over her, and kissing the forehead she asked, "What's the matter?" "Oh, nothing, there's just this monkey on my back that I have to get rid of," protested Loki. "Ah, yes, the little snake girl," said Karina, pretending to guess who Loki was referring to. "It's not that, it is just, do you wish we could Karina. I thought dwelling on the past was forbidden, said Loki. That is just our dearest mommy being overrated, but if you wish to wallow in the past and despair, then by all means, nobody is going to stop you, said Karina. Time, bro?
30 minutes to go.
You make it sound as if I am going to hang from a tree or something, said Loki. Could have fooled me, said Karina. Do you remember our first army battle, asked Loki. Yes, it wasn't so much of as a battle, but as a massacre, said Karina, chuckling. Both became silent, focusing on each other's eyes as the battle unfolded before them. And normally they would always explore the palace of creation with their mother's aspect following behind. However, one day both series decided to make the effort to truly lose their mother, to wander about uninhibited, and the small exploration was composed of Monkey Kid, the Asura, Marduk, Loki, and Karina. It had been their 8 brothers' idea to wander off, and he wanted to show Marduk that he wasn't attached to his twin via the umbilical cord. And as for the other 3, the Asura was looking for some hidden goodies, while Loki and Karina had come along to make certain that the 2 fools would not die. As for Marduk, the reason why he wanted to tag along were not believable, and he remembered that day during their wandering that he had mediated as to when Marduk became dishonest, and the first time Loki noticed was when Marduk said to his mother, I'm not much of a dancer. And Loki always knew that Marduk took dancing very seriously, and just as seriously as he took everything else, with his usual quiet melancholy, and the same melancholy was also shared by his sister Karina, but in her it manifested in her reticence. And the 2 of them knew something, and even now Karina was refusing to reveal her secret to Loki. Though there was no need to tell Loki since he already knew, he was still pretending not to know, just to keep everything to himself bottled up. And then remember, it was quite sure by Karina, who blinked once and placed Loki down, and she said in her usual evasive fashion, My people need me. Sorry for not continuing that memory name. It is fine, I will just pester someone else, said Loki, pouting. So you're so, said Karina. He slid back to camp stealthily to avoid Alida, and he eventually found Ingrid in Perila's tent, and she was busying herself reading through Perila's already completed notebooks, and she found it humorous having to turn the pages as tall as herself, and Loki altered his phone and assumed the mask of a maiden he wore from time to time, and without turning around, Ingrid said, Can I help you with something, Loki? Nothing in particular, said Ingrid, said Loki, and he then added, What are you reading? I'm in the part where Perilla murders a bunch of farmers and steals their gold, said Ingrid. Well, nobody's perfect, said Loki. Well, I had a car craving for gold sheets, and the bastards didn't want me to sell me any, and they had their chance to do things a nice way, said Perilla, grinning. I see, said Ingrid indifferently as she turned over a new leaf, and she added, chuckling, If it were Alida, she would have made a big fuss about it. I don't know where she gets such a sanctimonious attitude. It is a bit annoying, said Loki, folding his arm. It is probably because she has never killed anyone, said Perilla. Huh, I never thought about it, said Ingrid. Maybe you're right, and I have plenty of people who are like they're superior to everyone just because they do not kill, said Loki. In my experience, most problems only get resolved when the tolerable maker is 6 feet under. Ah, Loki, ever the warmonger. Have you killed anyone lately? Asked Perilla, chuckling. Not lately, and I'm taking a bit of a vacation from the killing business, so to speak. And one does eventually get bored of fighting weaklings, said Loki. You could pick a fight with the dragons. I hear that those fellows are rather strong indeed, suggested Perilla. I'm not the sort of person who enjoys picking a fight, and besides, I know better than to try to take on a dragon. After all, there is no such thing as a weak dragon, said Loki. Time?
10 minutes.
So true, said Ingrid, reading her giant book. She then added, Our little journey is almost over, and once we reach Little Sofia, we will return home, and what are you going to do? I don't know, I will probably bum about, going from town to town, lending a helping hand to the fishermen or whatever damsel in distress I run into. It is time to go home, said Loki. I see, well, then journey to you then. Is your home far away? It is both near and far, and without taking any shortcuts or magic portal, it is 1.2 billion kilometers from here, depending on the time of year, explained Loki. And what's your home like, asked Ingrid? Well, right now, at this second, at this moment, it is like the sky bell, said Loki. Oh, sorry to hear that, said Ingrid, understanding. Don't be. I made war with it, said Loki. Don't you mean peace with it, asked Perilla. No, war is the right term for it, explained Loki. And let's drop the subject altogether. Like the sky bell is like what what they call the rings of Saturn. It's like all dusty and powdery. So if his home is like the rings of Saturn, it means that there's nothing left of it. You know, the planet would poof.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
After saying this, Loki went outside to see about the ghost, and for some reason the ghost would not approach him, and it reminded him a bit of his brother's problematic relationship to animals, and the animals could smell it in Marduk, and now they found the same scent in Loki, and it was almost suffocating, nauseating, and Loki scratched at his throat in a vain effort to keep the bile from rising up, and in the end he ran and threw up in the rosy fields, liquid black bile. And Alida saw this display and asked, "Are you alright?" "I'm fine," said Loki. "I don't remember you eating anything like so," said Alida, examining the black bile. "That is because it is not something I ingested, but something I must get out of my system," said Loki, wiping his mouth. Is it because your home is destroyed?" said Alida, concerned, and when she saw Loki narrow his eyes, she said, "I overheard you and Ingrid talking. Look, if it's gone, can your people reconstruct it? Lots of places get destroyed and later reconstructed." "We're not talking about a house," Alida said, Loki sternly. "Maybe you can ask about your Alex for help," suggested Alida. "Just drop it," Alida said coldly. You know, like, it's not that he's homey, it's not like his house is broken, the whole planet is gone. It's like, we're not talking about a house here. Yeah, reconstruct the whole planet. Loki returned to the lake to be alone with his thoughts, and this time Alida had the courtesy to let him wallow in his own misery. Timer?
7 minutes.
The more time passed, the angrier Loki became, and there was a violence growing within him, and before it completely bloomed, Marduk appeared before him in his demonic form with his violet eyes and blood-red hair. Loki stared at his brother's sad melancholic face, and then he said, "Why didn't you tell us?" "You know why," said Marduk, and he added, "It wouldn't have changed the final outcome. You being there would just have added to the casualty counter." "Do the others know?" asked Loki. "Meh, more or less. Some I have to go tell them in person, while others they should figure it out on their own, should they bother to look up at the night sky," explained Marduk. "So what happens when this mission ends?" inquired Loki. "Nothing," said Marduk. "Nothing?" repeated Loki. "Sorry if that wasn't the answer you were seeking," said Marduk, "and outside of official business, I cannot tell you how to run your life, but I am your older brother, and can elucidate my concern for your well-being, and you must not let these negative emotions take hold of you." Loki was silent, staring blankly at the water, and his mother Marduk could feel his brother's tension dissipating, and he come just in the nick of time before Loki did something foolish, and Marduk clapped twice, and a liquid demon manifested from the water, and kneeling before Marduk, he handed him a frilly pink umbrella before dissipating, and holding the umbrella, Marduk jabbed Loki with his sharp tip in his ribs, and turning around, annoyed Loki frowned.
Wait, why is Marduk a demon in this? He wasn't a demon in the previous one.
Well, don't forget time pass. He's not a demon, but his nature is similar to it.
Gotcha.
And he does control them.
Oh yeah, because of the staff thing.
Yeah, because of the hangy-dandy magical item that gives him the power, the same way Necromancer staff gives you special summons and all that. Mm-hmm. And he has demons as a special summon. Turning around, annoyed Loki frowned as his brother handed him the umbrella. Loki then removed the flower he had been keeping alive in his hair, and he gave it to Marduk, and after this exchange, Marduk left with the flower. When Loki saw himself alone, he lovingly caressed the delicate fabric of the umbrella made out of cotton with elaborate flower and circular patterns. He then placed his hands under his hair, and he pulled out his gimme staff. Talking to the staff, he said, "When will you ever be useful to me?" Putting it away once more, he added, "I suppose as my mother would say, there are such things as good enough." With a certain step, he returned to Car to see about Alida and Ingrid, and both were in Paradise then. And Alida was busy pestering the pick-up Adonis, while Ingrid was reading to Paradise notes. Now looking up, Paradise said to Loki, "Welcome back." Time, bro?
4 minutes.
"Any news?" inquired Ingrid, seeing a grin painted on Loki's face. "Nothing much. Only I just now remember that my brother has sealed the entrance to Little Sophia, so we can't go there. So this just about concludes our little journey," said Loki. Closing the notebook, Ingrid said, "I guess this is goodbye." "It doesn't have to be if you have a mind to keep up with me," said Loki condescending. "I guess this is what we always have been to you, a burden," said Alida sadly. "Did I ever say you were a burden? I'm not one to imply. Loki added. However, one can only drag along through the mud in a stroll before feeling a bit guilty. And your mom never trusted me with your care, but you knew that you would not return without getting to know your sister. I don't want to live in a hole, complained Alida. It is a cave, and if you don't like it, we have a nice little apartment under the bridge near Aragon, said Ingrid, chuckling. But what am I going to do there? Inquired Alida. Oh, you could learn to play the violin. Or sing. Yeah, singing. That's something you can practice there. And Mother ever so much enjoys singing. And you could also try out a bit of magic or magic tricks. And there's also wonderful books on the world. And Mother has quite a large collection at library. And I have barely scraped the surface of all the tom shields, and she can lend them indiscriminately, so you're bound to run into something you like, said Ingrid. I suppose, but it's not the same as to result than as to experience it, said Alida sadly. You don't need to be doing great or exciting things to be amused. People always look down on those who live a quiet, peaceful life filled with mild amusement. And if you ask me, those are the lucky ones, and at least back home you have security. Out here, not so much, said Loki. I have been managing well on my own till now, said Alida firmly. Look here, Alida. Whatever you want to do is your decision, and I have already made peace with your loathing, and it's fine, lied Ingrid. And do what you must, and it was fun. And what are you going to do, Loki? Asked Alida. I'm going to feed the goats, said Loki, exiting the room. That was anticlimactic, said Alida, somewhat deflated. What? The man likes his animals, said Perida. Time?
2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Alright, let's just leave it here. Bye-bye and God bless.